Welcome back, everyone. The iPhone 13 mini actually ended up coming out officially. We already know this, and we're going to go and compare it against the iPhone 11 Pro, which is on the right. Now, both these phones you can pick up on Amazon from the links down in the description. You can get them from there, and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see there are some pretty big differences. The iPhone 11 Pro has that 5.8-inch OLED display, and it's a beautiful panel. I mean, this is one of the best panels out even still. With the iPhone 13 mini has a little bit smaller 5.4-inch OLED panel, and to be honest, both of these look great. I really don't think there's one that looks way better than the other one, but some people may prefer the 5.8-inch, some people may prefer 5.4-inch. The main thing is they both kind of feel the same thing in the hand. I don't think the 11 Pro feels so much bigger, even though it has a bigger display. So that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind. Now, in terms of the thinness and thickness between both, they kind of have a different type of chassis on the phone. You can tell that the 11 Pro has this kind of, whatever this is, the shiny kind of type of, material. And it does seem like the 13 mini seems a little bit thicker, but it's nothing super crazy. And I think they both look pretty good at the end of the day. And on the back, you can see a little bit of a different type of material as well. Now on the 13 mini on the left, we have the standard glass back, which still looks good, and I really don't have too many problems with it. Whereas on the iPhone 11 Pro, you have the frosted glass back. Now this is a very premium feeling phone as well, and I still think it looks really good. Now with the triple camera setup here, this is really good still too. Ultra wide and wide angle lens with a telephoto lens. The 13 mini has an ultra wide sensor, and both look good. Lightning port at the bottom, power button on the left side, and that pretty much covers it up on the outside. Now there is a little bit of a difference in terms of longevity. Both of them have IP certification and durability and all that good stuff, which is awesome. But the iPhone 11 Pro theoretically is probably not going to last as long as the iPhone 13 mini. Now, why is that? Well, the 13 mini is a newer iPhone and it has a newer chipset inside of it. So that's a pretty big thing to keep in mind. Apple bases basically all of their iOS updates based on the chipset inside. So theoretically, you're going to be getting a longer lasting phone on the iPhone 13 mini. Now, does that mean that the iPhone 11 Pro is going to be outdated and is, not a good phone anymore? Absolutely not. The iPhone 11 Pro is still going to be around for many more years. It's not going to be outdated anytime soon. But like I mentioned, if you want the longer lasting phone between these two, the iPhone 13 mini is probably the one for you if I'm being honest. So that pretty much covers it up there. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both of these iPhones. Now the iPhone 11 Pro has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM. With the iPhone 13 mini has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 GB of RAM as well. Let's go and see which one has a faster iPhone between both of these. Okay, there we go. Let's go and clear the apps in the background, which I think they're already cleared out. So let's get into it. Let's go ahead and get into camera. 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing. I didn't really see that big of a difference. We can go and get into the app stores. 3, 2, 1. And we do have a Wi-Fi problem here. So we'll just load that one up in the background for the time being. So let's go and hop out of this specific app. And as always, we have a bunch of these third-party applications we can go ahead and get into. So let's open up Netflix. 3, 2, 1. And that's one thing about the 13 series. You can tell that there's definitely a huge, bump in the camera. With the 11 Pro, also is there too. I didn't even remember that. Quizlet, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much the same thing. I think 13 mini was faster. Dropbox, 3, 2, 1. 13 mini again was the faster one. Let's do BOFA, 3, 2, 1. And we do have a network connection problem here, so we'll just kind of load this one out of the way. Thank you, 3, 2, 1. And the 13 mini again is the faster one, followed by the iPhone 11 Pro. Gameplay wise, let's see if there's a difference. And I don't really think there's going to be a crazy big difference, but it was faster on the 13 mini to load up. Snake First Blocks, 3, 2, 1. And I think the 13 mini was just like slightly faster, but it was still very close between both. You can see gameplay wise, I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference here either. Hopping out of this specific app, let's get into Temple Run 1, 3, 2, 1. And I think the 13 mini again is going to be the faster one here. And you can see the 13 mini definitely was faster than the iPhone 11 Pro. Hopping out of this app, let's do Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. And the third, actually I don't know which, they were both on different versions of the software, so we'll just kind of let this one slide. Let's go and get into Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now it does kind of look like the 11 Pro was faster here. Now they may have been on 2 different versions of Temple Run 2, so do keep that in mind. but that was actually more similar than not, to be completely honest. So let's go and get into play here, and let's go and I guess see if there's any differences in terms of, glitchiness or anything like that, which I don't really think there's going to be, but we can always kind of tell. And they both kind of seem like the same thing. Let's hop out of this one. Let's go ahead and get into stack. 3, 2, 1. And this one was tough because this one loaded up into an ad, so it's pretty tough to tell. Let's get into some gameplay here, and this is a pretty basic application, so there isn't really anything super crazy here either, and you can tell pretty much the same thing. So let's hop out of this one, and that pretty much covers up all the apps that I wanted to test. And to be completely honest, I think both of these, phones did a great job at the specific, performance segment. I don't think that 11 Pro is faster than the 13 mini. I think the 13 mini is faster, but they're still very close to one another. I was pretty surprised by the speed similarity between them. So when it comes down to it, the 13 mini is definitely the faster phone, but the 11 Pro is very close still, and I really don't think, like I mentioned, that there's a phenomenal difference. But definitely the 13 mini is the faster one for sure. So in terms of that covers up the speed comparison. Now let's go and hit on the cameras. Now on the back, you have that dual camera setup on the iPhone 13 mini, a wide angle lens and an ultra wide sensor. With the iPhone 11 Pro, you actually have that triple camera setup. So you have a wide angle lens, telephoto lens, and an ultra wide sensor. So you're getting an additional sensor on the iPhone 11 Pro, which is a really awesome thing. Now you do have 4K 60 on the back and the front of both of these, so that's another pretty big thing to keep in mind as well. Now with the 13 mini, I think you're getting a very good camera setup, and I think the 11 Pro's camera is still very good as well. Now one thing I want you to kind of see is the similarity between the software. I mean, the UIs are almost identical. The main difference that we have is that the iPhone 13 series, all these iPhones, now had this new cinematic mode, which I think is cool. I really don't think it's like a worthwhile change to just go from an 11 Pro to the 13 mini, even just based off cameras because of this. But you are missing a telephoto lens on the 13 mini, which the 13 Pro has. But I do like cinematic mode. I don't see why it couldn't have just came on the iPhone 11 Pro, to be honest. Now with the iPhone 11 Pro, this is a very solid camera still. I mean, it's still perfect in so many different ways. Like I mentioned, you have the same video resolutions that you can film in. So that's amazing in and of itself. You have the capability of zooming in and zooming out a lot. I've noticed that the zooming out capability, at least for the 11 Pro series, is a little bit slower and not as smooth as the 13 mini. But the 13 mini's camera is still great, but the 11 Pro's camera is still great too. Now with the 13 mini, this camera is very good, and I want you to kind of see that the zooming out and zooming in, look how much smoother it is on something like a 13 mini. You may not be able to tell if I didn't do a side by side, but that definitely is a little bit smoother. And one thing I've always liked about the 11 Pro is how beautiful this phone looks. I mean, it's still like a beautiful looking device. The 11 Pro is a great camera, but the 13 mini does take it up a notch, especially with that cinematic mode. So when it comes down to the cameras, I like the 13 mini, I think it's great, but I still think the 11 Pro is very close, and in terms of quality, there's more similarity than not, to be completely honest, but the 13 mini is still a very good phone for sure. So now we make it to the end of the video, and to be honest, between both of these iPhones, there's a lot of capability, but there's a lot of similarity as well. The 11 Pro is a very good iPhone. I've had very good time with it. I used it for over a year. It has a lot of capability still. It's still very good looking, very powerful. It's not as smooth maybe as the 13 mini, but the cameras are still great. The battery life is still great. Everything is still good on this phone. But the 11 Pro, maybe it doesn't keep up in some areas with the 13 mini. Surprisingly, the 13 mini had better battery life for my battery test than the 11 Pro. That may have to do with iOS 15, but we'll kind of talk about that later on. The camera quality may be better on the 13 mini, but you do get that additional telephoto lens on the 11 Pro. The notch is a little bit smaller here. You don't really, you don't tell too much. You have MagSafe on this phone. It's faster a little bit, but to be honest, if I had an iPhone 11 Pro, I would not go for any of the iPhone 13 series at all. I mean, I'll probably wait till the 14. This is a great phone. The 13 mini is great, but the 11 Pro is still a very solid phone as well. And to be honest, like I mentioned, they're way more similar than not, if I'm being completely honest. So, and that pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything like that, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.